Dr. Lixnar Vexlar ran 3 of his 6 appendages over his crest of sensory nodules, the Xentorian equivalent of rubbing one's temples, as he reviewed the day's appointment schedule. Being the only certified Xenoveterinarian on intergalactic hub station Epsilon 9 meant his practice was always busy, but usually in a predictable way. Squawking Rigelian hummingbirds with indigestion, Neptunian slughounds with slime irregularities, the occasional Venusian crystal beetle with a cracked carapace. But there at the end of his schedule was an appointment that made his secondary heart valve constrict. Patient, terrestrial predator species, owner Morgan Daniels, human, an earth predator. On his examination table, today, Glix, he cursed under his breath, using the most offensive Xentorian expletive he knew. The translator microbes in the station's atmosphere diplomatically rendered it as a mild darn. His assistant Plink, a gelatinous blob from Proxima Centauri, with remarkable organizational skills and a perpetually cheery disposition, oozed into his office. Your 0900 is here, Doctor. The Jovian gas pouch with the flotation issues. Send them in, Doctor. Vexlar said, trying not to let his anxiety about the later appointment show. And Plink, that final appointment today. Oh, the human with the earth creature. Plink's central nucleus vibrated with excitement. I've never seen a genuine earth predator before. I hear they have these sharp white protrusions they use to tear flesh, and that humans domesticated them despite their lethal capabilities. Fascinating. Yes, fascinating. Dr. Vexlar's voice modulator couldn't quite hide his dread. Like inviting a miniature supernova to live in your dwelling unit. Absolutely charming until it obliterates you. Don't be so dramatic, Doctor. The humans wouldn't bring something truly dangerous onto the station. There are regulations. Regulations written by bureaucrats who've never seen what an Earthhouse pet can do to a being's exoskeleton, Dr. Vexlar muttered. My professor at the academy showed us footage of Earth predators in action. I still have nightmares about their efficiency. As the day progressed, Dr. Vexlar found himself distracted. He prescribed anti-bloat medication to a Saturnian ringworm that was actually suffering from molt anxiety. He merely recommended breathing exercises to a species that absorbed oxygen through its skin. By the time his second-to-last appointment wadded out the door, he was a nervous wreck. Final appointment is here, Doctor, Plink announced cheerfully. Shall I show them in, Doctor? Vexlar straightened his medical harness, extended his professional appendages, and retracted his fear spines with considerable effort. Send them in, he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. And Plink, stand by with the emergency containment field, just in case. The door to the examination room hissed open, and in walked a human, average height by their standards, though towering by Xentorian measurements. The human had a mop of curly reddish-brown hair and wore the standard civilian jumpsuit favored by most station residents, though this one was decorated with colorful patches of various alien worlds. Hi there, I'm Morgan Daniels. Thanks for squeezing us in today, the human said with an easy smile, carrying what appeared to be a containment unit of some sort. The rectangular device had a mesh front that Dr. Vexlar immediately recognized as a primitive but effective cage. Greetings, human Morgan. I am Dr. Lixnar Vexlar, Xenovet specialist with certifications in 87 biological phyla across the known galaxy. He was stalling, his eye stalks fixed on the carrier, trying to catch a glimpse of the monster within. Great credentials, but please, just call me Morgan. The human set the carrier down on the examination table with casual disregard for the potential death machine inside. This little guy's been acting a bit off lately, and I figured it's better safe than sorry. Vexlar extended his sensory appendages cautiously toward the carrier, then immediately retracted them when something inside made a noise. It was a low rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate the very air molecules in the room. It's growling, Dr. Vexlar whispered, hovering near the emergency call button. Morgan laughed. No, that's purring. He's happy. That sound indicates pleasure. This contradicted everything Dr. Vexlar had learned about predator vocalizations. Not imminent attack. God no. If he was upset, you'd know it. Look, I can see you're nervous. I get it. Most non-Earthers are when they first meet him. But trust me, he's completely harmless and spoiled rotten. Probably the laziest predator in this star system. Dr. Vexlar wasn't convinced. Perhaps we should begin with a detailed explanation of its biological capabilities before I attempt any physical examination. Sure, Morgan shrugged, unlatching the carrier door. He's a domestic cat. Felis catus. Carnivore, yes, but bred for companionship for thousands of years. This particular specimen is named Captain Whiskers, and his most dangerous habit is stealing my socks. Before Dr. Vexlar could object, the door swung open, and out stepped a surprisingly small creature. It had 4 legs, a tail, and was covered in orange and white fur. Its face featured triangular ears that swiveled independently, impressive whisker arrays, and 2 forward-facing eyes that immediately locked onto Dr. Vexlar's trembling form. By the 7 moons of Centauri, Dr. Vexlar breathed. Those are predator eyes. Perfect binocular vision for targeting prey. The creature, Captain Whiskers, sat on its haunches and began meticulously grooming one paw with its tongue. He's washing his murder mittens, Morgan said proudly, as if this were somehow endearing, rather than terrifying. Murder, mittens, Dr. Vexlar's voice modulator squeaked. Just a joke, they're called paws, though he does have retractable claws. Retractable weapons, Dr. Vexlar inched backward. Look, I know Earth predators have a reputation out here, but Captain Whiskers literally gets winded chasing his toy mouse for more than 30 seconds. He sleeps 20 hours a day, and expects to be hand-fed premium treats. He's about as dangerous as, well, as Plink out there. From the reception area, Plink's voice warbled indignantly. I'll have you know my species was once feared across 3-star systems before we evolved beyond our digestive phase. The cat finished grooming, stood up, stretched its back in an alarming arch, and then to Dr. Vexlar's absolute horror, leapt from the table directly toward him. Dr. Vexlar emitted a high-pitched squeal, and attempted to activate his vestigial camouflage response, which hadn't worked properly in his species for millennia. Instead of turning invisible, he merely changed to an embarrassing shade of anxious purple. But instead of tearing into his throat as expected, the predator landed gracefully beside him, circled 3 times, and then rubbed its furry body against Dr. Vexlar's lower appendages. What is it doing? Dr. Vexlar whispered, frozen in place. Marking you with his scent glands. It means he likes you, Morgan explained. In cat language, you now belong to him. Congratulations, I'm being claimed as territory. Dr. Vexlar wasn't sure if this was better or worse than being eaten. More like he's accepting you into his social group. It's a compliment. Now about why we're here. He's been drinking more water than usual, and seems a bit lethargic, even for him. I'm worried about his kidneys. Captain Whiskers looked up at Dr. Vexlar, and emitted a small sound, mew. Dr. Vexlar's professional instincts finally kicked in, overriding his terror. I see. Well, let's begin the examination of Captain Whiskers, shall we? Morgan beamed. Great, just be gentle with him. He's used to being treated like royalty. Of course, Dr. Vexlar replied faintly, reaching for his diagnostic scanner, and wondering if Earth royalty also possessed razor-sharp teeth and retractable claws. Dr. Vexlar approached Captain Whiskers with the caution one might reserve for disarming an ancient explosive. His appendages trembled slightly as he extended his medical scanner. Perhaps you could hold him still, he suggested to Morgan. He's literally just sitting there, Morgan pointed out. Captain Whiskers was indeed motionless, aside from the rhythmic swishing of his tail, which Dr. Vexlar interpreted as a predatory warning signal. Yes, but at what speed can this creature accelerate from a stationary position? Morgan thought for a moment. I mean, he's pretty quick when the automatic food dispenser turns on, but in Veterinary Xenobiology 101, we studied footage of Earth felines. They can reach attack velocity in 0.3 seconds, Dr. Vexlar said, his voice dropping to a hushed tone. Our professor showed us a video of one ambushing a flying creature. It leapt 3 times its body length, vertically. Yeah, cats are impressive hunters in the wild. Captain Whiskers once got stuck trying to climb onto my couch, Morgan said dryly. Look, I'll hold him if it makes you feel better. Morgan scooped up the cat, who immediately began the rumbling noise again, purring. Dr. Vexlar reminded himself. Not growling, purring meant the creature was pleased. With Morgan restraining the deadly predator, Dr. Vexlar finally managed to scan Captain Whiskers. The readings were fascinating, revealing an elegant biological design perfected through millions of years of evolution. Remarkable, he muttered, professional curiosity temporarily overriding fear. His retinas reflect light to improve night vision. His whiskers can detect air current changes of 1/2000th of a standard atmosphere. His claws are in desperate need of a trim, Morgan interrupted. I've been meaning to do that. He gets them caught in my sweaters. Dr. Vexlar looked up in horror. You deliberately blunt his primary weapons. It's called nail care, and yes, otherwise, he tears up my furniture. Dr. Vexlar couldn't fathom a species that would not only domesticate a predator, but deliberately handicap its natural defenses for the sake of furniture. Summoning his professional courage, Dr. Vexlar reached out to palpate the feline's abdomen, His six-fingered hand hovered nervously over the fur. "He won't bite," Morgan assured him, then added, "Probably. Dr. Vexlar froze. "That was a joke. He's never bitten anyone. He's a total marshmallow. A confectionery item. It means he's soft, a pushover. The only thing he hunts these days is the little red dot from my laser pointer." Dr. Vexlar's scanner beeped, displaying its findings. According to these readings, his ancestors were apex predators capable of taking down creatures 10 times their size. And according to my apartment security system, Captain Whiskers spent 4 hours yesterday watching vacuum cleaner videos on my entertainment screen, Morgan countered. Reluctantly, Dr. Vexlar placed his appendages on Captain Whiskers and began feeling for abnormalities. The cat tolerated this with surprising patience, occasionally making small misper sounds when Dr. Vexlar hit a sensitive spot. "You mentioned unusual water consumption," Dr. Vexlar asked, slipping into his professional mode. "Yeah, and he's been using his litter box more frequently." Litter box, it's a container of absorbent material where he eliminates waste. Dr. Vexlar's eye stalks twitched in confusion. "You provide a special receptacle for its biological functions, within your living quarters?" "Well, yeah. Would you prefer he did it on my floor?" "I would prefer he did it outside, like a civilized being." Morgan laughed. "He's an indoor cat. He's never been outside in his life." Dr. Vexlar paused his examination, genuinely baffled. "Let me understand this correctly. You keep a descendant of apex predators inside your dwelling. You blunt its weapons. You provide it with a designated waste area. You feed it prepared food rather than allowing it to hunt. And you entertain it with artificial prey in the form of light dots and toy mice. Don't forget the toy mice. Artificial prey simulacra," Dr. Vexlar muttered, making a note in his medical pad. "No wonder it's exhibiting signs of system distress." "What do you mean? This creature was designed by evolution to stalk, pounce and kill. Instead you've turned it into a pampered house pet," Morgan supplied helpfully. "Precisely. It's a miracle its psychological profile hasn't completely collapsed." Captain Whiskers chose that moment to begin purring louder and rubbing his head against Dr. Vexlar's medical scanner, leaving tufts of orange fur on the sensitive equipment. "He's marking your scanner as his territory now," Morgan said with a smile. "Congratulations, you've been doubly claimed." Dr. Vexlar found himself oddly touched by this gesture, despite his continued wariness. He completed his examination, taking samples of bodily fluids that Captain Whiskers surrendered with only minimal complaints. "Based on these readings, I believe Captain Whiskers has a mild urinary tract infection, common in many species, easily treatable with the proper medication." Dr. Vexlar found himself patting the cat's head before he realized what he was doing. The fur was remarkably soft. "I'll prepare an antibiotic suitable for his biochemistry." As he turned to his medical synthesizer, he couldn't help adding, "I'm surprised such a fearsome evolutionary marvel can succumb to something as mundane as a urinary infection." "Yeah, well, he also runs in terror from the sound of plastic bags," Morgan said. "Evolution's funny that way." Dr. Vexlar was beginning to think there was much about Earth species that his xenobiology courses had failed to convey. Dr. Vexlar had just finished calibrating the antibiotic dispenser when disaster struck. The examination room door hissed open as Plink oozed in with a question about the next day's schedule. Captain Whiskers, who had been calmly sitting on the exam table, suddenly perked up, his pupils dilated to almost perfect circles. "Oh no," Morgan said. What's happening?" Dr. Vexlar backed away, his terror returning in full force. "Is it entering attack mode?" Captain Whiskers' rear end wiggled slightly, his tail twitching in rapid, precise movements. "He's about to—" Morgan didn't get to finish the sentence. In a blur of orange and white fur, Captain Whiskers launched himself off the table, not toward Dr. Vexlar as he'd feared, but straight toward the door. The cat sailed directly over Plink's gelatinous form and into the reception area. "He's loose," Dr. Vexlar shrieked, his voice modulator hitting frequencies it wasn't designed for. "It's fine, he's just spooked," Morgan said, hurrying toward the door. "He'll probably find a quiet corner to hide in." That might have been true on Earth or in Morgan's quarters, but this was a busy intergalactic veterinary clinic. As they rushed into the reception area, they discovered a scene of perfect chaos. A Jovian gas pouch was floating near the ceiling in panic, releasing distress pheromones that made all plant-based lifeforms in the vicinity begin rapid reproductive spore release. A pair of Martian dust bunnies, not actual bunnies, but sentient collections of particles with beady red eyes, had rolled themselves into defensive balls. Most alarmingly, an Arcturian ambassador with their emotional support slug was screaming into their universal translator. Predator, Earth predator loose in the medical sector. This is a violation of Treaty Section 7, Paragraph 12. Captain Whiskers, meanwhile, had taken refuge under a chair and was grooming himself as if nothing unusual was happening. Everyone remained calm. Dr. Vexlar attempted to assert authority, but his current anxious mauve coloration undermined his credibility. The Earth creature is a domestic cat, Morgan supplied. Completely harmless. Harmless. The Arcturian ambassador's translator rendered their speech in an aristocratic tone despite their panic. That creature's ancestors hunted beings twice their size for sport. Their planet is a death world where even the herbivores are lethal. That's a bit of an exaggeration, Morgan protested. Is it? Did your species not evolve on a planet with organisms that inject neurotoxins through hollow fangs, with reptiles that can dislocate their jaws to swallow prey whole, with avians that dive at velocities that would liquefy our cerebral matter? Morgan paused. Well, when you put it that way. The station's security alert began to sound, a gentle but insistent chime accompanied by a calm voice. Attention all beings. A potentially dangerous Earth fauna has escaped containment in Medical Section 12. Please proceed calmly to the nearest emergency shelter. This is not a drill, not a drill. Dr. Vexlar's chromatophores shifted to a panicked orange. They think this is a station-wide emergency. This is ridiculous, Morgan said, kneeling to peer under the chair. Captain Whiskers, come here, buddy. The cat looked at Morgan, blinked slowly, and then casually began licking his paw. He's not coming, is he? Dr. Vexlar asked. Nope, classic cat move. The more you want them to do something, the less interested they are. The reception room was now empty except for Morgan, Dr. Vexlar, and Plink, who had morphed into a protective dome shape near the far wall. We need to recapture him before security arrives, Dr. Vexlar said. If they classify him as a dangerous organism, he'll be placed in a level 4 containment field. He'd hate that, Morgan agreed. He barely tolerates his carrier. The door to the clinic hissed open, revealing 2 security officers, a bulky Taurian with reinforced exo-armor, and a Syrian, whose tentacles were wrapped around what appeared to be a containment net. Step away from the Earth predator, the Taurian officer ordered, his voice deep and resonant. He's just a cat, Morgan protested. A lazy, domesticated house cat. All Earth fauna are classified as potentially hazardous until proven otherwise, the Syrian officer replied, unwinding a tentacle that held a datapad. According to our database, this species possesses 18 sharp claws, can run at speeds exceeding 30 kph, has night vision, can hear ultrasonic frequencies, and possesses bacteria in its mouth capable of causing serious infections. Well, technically that's all true, but the security officers advanced slowly. Captain Whiskers, perceiving the threat, darted from under the chair and through the secondary exit that led to the clinic's storage rooms. After it, the Taurian bellowed, charging forward with surprising speed for his bulk. This is getting out of hand, Morgan muttered, racing after them. Dr. Vexlar found himself following, driven by an unexpected sense of responsibility. After all, Captain Whiskers was technically still his patient. The pursuit led them through the storage room, where the cat knocked over a shelf of non-toxic but extremely slimy Neptunian algae supplements. The Taurian security officer slipped spectacularly, sliding into a cabinet of empty specimen containers that rained down with a cacophony of clinks and clangs. Captain Whiskers, startled by the noise, leapt onto another shelf, sending various medical supplies tumbling. One of these, a canister of Rigelian calming pheromones, burst open, immediately causing the Syrian officer's tentacles to go limp with relaxation. Stop, the Earth predator, the officer slurred, sliding bonelessly to the floor, too blissed out to continue the pursuit. By now, the station's alert had escalated. All non-essential personnel must evacuate Level 3. Repeat, dangerous Earth predator loose on Level 3. This is absurd, Morgan said, helping the Taurian officer to his feet. The station AI has classified this as a Level 3 threat. That's the same category as a radiation leak. Dr. Vexlar's communicator buzzed. It was Plink. Dr. Station Security is mobilizing the hazardous entity containment team. They're authorized to use stasis fields. A stasis field could harm his cellular structure, Dr. Vexlar replied, surprising himself with his concern for the feline's welfare. We need to find him first. They followed the trail of scattered supplies and occasional orange fur tufts to the clinic's break room. There, sitting in the center of the table amidst half-eaten lunches, was Captain Whiskers. He was delicately licking what appeared to be a container of vegan cream substitute. "There you are, you troublemaker," Morgan said with relief. "Don't make any sudden moves," the Torian officer warned, readying what looked suspiciously like a miniature disruptor. "Earth predators are most dangerous when cornered." Captain Whiskers looked up, cream on his whiskers, and meowed softly. "He's not dangerous, he's having a snack," Morgan insisted. "Look at him." The station alert changed again. "Hazardous entity containment team now entering level 3. All beings clear the area. Authorized use of non-lethal force approved." Dr. Vexlar looked at Captain Whiskers, then at the approaching heavy footsteps from the corridor, and made a decision that surprised even himself. "This has gone far enough," he declared, striding forward. "Doctor, wait," the Torian called out. "That creature could tear your appendages off." But Dr. Vexlar had reached his limit. With determination born of professional pride, he marched to the table, gently picked up Captain Whiskers, and cradled the cat against his thorax. Captain Whiskers, for his part, began to purr. The hazardous entity containment team burst into the break room, a squad of 5 heavily protected individuals in sealed environmental suits. They carried what appeared to be specialized capture equipment, including nets, energy barriers, and what Morgan recognized with alarm as a neural stunner. "Step away from the Earth predator," Doctor ordered the lead containment officer, voice mechanically filtered through their helmet. Dr. Vexlar did not move. Captain Whiskers continued purring in his arms, now kneading his chest with alternating paws in what Morgan had once explained was a sign of contentment. "This creature is my patient," Dr. Vexlar stated firmly, his color shifting to a confident blue, "and there has been a serious classification error. Sir, our database clearly categorizes all Earth felines as dangerous predators." "Your database," Dr. Vexlar replied, finding a confidence he hadn't known he possessed, "lacks sufficient nuance. This is Captain Whiskers, a domesticated house cat whose most aggressive recent action was stealing cream from someone's lunch." The lead officer hesitated, looking from Dr. Vexlar to the now drowsy cat in his arms. "But regulations state, I am the station's chief Xenoveterinarian, with certifications in 87 biological phyla," Dr. Vexlar interrupted. "And I am officially reclassifying this specific Earth feline as Felis catus domesticus pamperatus, a non-threat." Morgan stifled a laugh at the impromptu scientific classification. The containment team looked at each other uncertainly. Their training hadn't covered being overruled by a veterinarian. While they deliberated, Captain Whiskers yawned widely, displaying his impressive array of teeth before settling his head comfortably against Dr. Vexlar's arm. "Look at him," Dr. Vexlar continued, his voice softer now. "Yes, his ancestors were formidable hunters. Yes, he retains those biological capabilities. But this specific individual has been raised in an environment of such comfort and care that his predatory instincts have been, shall we say, significantly dampened." To demonstrate, Dr. Vexlar carefully extended one of Captain Whiskers' paws, showing the retracted claws. "Weapons systems currently disengaged." The lead officer stepped forward, still cautious but clearly curious. "Is it true they can see in near total darkness?" "Indeed," Dr. Vexlar confirmed, warming to his subject. "Their eyes contain a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum that essentially gives them night vision. Fascinating evolutionary adaptation." "And they always land on their feet?" asked another team member, helmet tilting in curiosity. "The riding reflex, yes. Their flexible spine and lack of collarbone allow them to twist in midair." Morgan watched in amazement as the containment team gradually lowered their weapons, their fear transforming into scientific curiosity as Dr. Vexlar, the same Dr. Vexlar who had been terrified of Captain Whiskers just hours earlier, now enthusiastically explained feline biology. "Perhaps," the lead officer said eventually, "we should update our classification system to distinguish between wild Earth predators and their domesticated counterparts." "A sensible suggestion," Dr. Vexlar agreed. "I would be happy to provide a detailed report on the behavioral differences." The station-wide alert finally silenced, replaced by a new announcement: "Attention all beings. The situation in Medical Section 12 has been resolved. The Earth fauna has been classified as non-threatening. Please resume normal activities." As the containment team filed out, somewhat sheepishly, Morgan approached Dr. Vexlar. "That was impressive," they said, "especially for someone who was convinced Captain Whiskers was going to devour them a few hours ago." Dr. Vexlar gently scratched behind the cat's ears, eliciting louder purrs. I may have overreacted initially. We Zentorians tend to be cautious by nature. On our homeworld, most small furry creatures are venomous. Understandable. Earth has some genuinely dangerous animals, but cats like Captain Whiskers have been our companions for thousands of years. Morgan reached out, and Captain Whiskers happily transferred to their familiar arms. Though I should clarify, they're not entirely harmless, they're just selective about when to deploy their capabilities. Dr. Vexlar led them back to the examination room, where he finally administered the antibiotic treatment Captain Whiskers needed. The cat accepted the medication with surprising docility. You know, Dr. Vexlar said as he worked, there's something admirable about Earth's approach to its predator species. Most civilizations either exterminate their dangerous fauna, or avoid them entirely. But humans, you formed relationships with them. We've always had a complicated relationship with predators, Morgan admitted. Respect mixed with fear, eventually leading to understanding. Some say we see something of ourselves in them. Dr. Vexlar considered this as he completed the treatment. A mutual recognition between predator species perhaps. Morgan grinned. I wouldn't go that far. We're omnivores technically, who developed faster than light travel primarily to explore unknown territories, and who carry resilient microbiomes that would devastate most non-Earth ecosystems. Dr. Vexlar pointed out, from a certain xenobiological perspective, humans share many characteristics with apex predators. Huh, I've never thought of it that way. Dr. Vexlar's chromatophores flickered thoughtfully. Perhaps that's why so many species are initially wary of humans, and perhaps also why I was so terrified of Captain Whiskers. We recognize in Earth species a certain, determined adaptability that both impresses and frightens. Captain Whiskers' treatment complete, stretched luxuriously and headbutted Dr. Vexlar's appendage affectionately. Though I must admit, Dr. Vexlar added, tentatively stroking the cat's fur, I'm beginning to see the appeal of your Earth companions. Over the next few station cycles, Dr. Vexlar's practice underwent an unexpected transformation. Word had spread about the Earth predator incident, but rather than damaging his professional reputation, it had enhanced it. If Dr. Lixnar Vexlar could handle a terrifying Earth predator, surely he could manage whatever minor ailments afflicted the pets of other species. More surprisingly, Captain Whiskers had become something of a celebrity on Epsilon 9. Morgan had agreed to bring him to the clinic once a week as a sort of unofficial therapy animal. Dr. Vexlar had been skeptical at first, but the results were undeniable. Species that evolved as prey animals found exposure to a non-threatening predator in a controlled environment, helped manage their anxiety. Species that evolved as predators themselves seemed to respect Captain Whiskers' relaxed confidence. Even Plink had developed an unexpected friendship with the cat, often morphing into a comfortable cushion shape that Captain Whiskers found irresistible for napping. I never thought I'd say this, Dr. Vexlar admitted to Morgan as they watched Captain Whiskers charm a nervous Venusian crystal beetle, but I believe I've become fond of your small predator. He's fond of you too, Morgan replied. He doesn't headbutt just anyone you know. Dr. Vexlar's chromatophores flushed a pleased pink. I've been doing some research on Earth fauna. Your planet's biodiversity is remarkable, especially considering the relatively harsh conditions. Harsh? Morgan laughed. Earth is practically a paradise compared to some of the worlds I've visited. That's a matter of perspective, Dr. Vexlar said. To most spacefaring species, Earth is classified as a death world. Extreme temperature variations, powerful gravitational pull, high oxygen content, leading to aggressive metabolic processes, not to mention the evolutionary arms race between your predator and prey species. When you put it that way, I guess we did evolve in a pretty intense environment, which explains much about human resilience, Dr. Vexlar noted, and perhaps why so many species find humans both fascinating and slightly terrifying. Like you found Captain Whiskers, Morgan said with a grin. Precisely. Though I now understand there's a substantial difference between capability and intent. Your cat could cause injury if he wished, but he chooses not to. Most humans are the same way, Morgan pointed out. Their philosophical discussion was interrupted by Plink oozing rapidly into the room, nucleus pulsing with excitement. Doctor, there's a new client in reception with another Earth companion animal. They're asking specifically for you, given your expertise with Earth fauna. Dr. Vexlar straightened proudly. Well, I wouldn't claim expertise, but I have certainly expanded my knowledge. Send them in, Plink. Plink hesitated, nucleus darkening slightly. They said their companion is experiencing territorial aggression issues. Nothing we can't handle, Dr. Vexlar said confidently, giving Captain Whiskers a final pat before returning to his examination table. Morgan, perhaps you could offer some insight on Earth pet behavior. Happy to help, Morgan agreed. scooping up Captain Whiskers and placing him back in his carrier. Earth animals are my specialty. The door hissed open, and in walked another human, this one taller than Morgan with dark skin and close-cropped hair. They were struggling with a large reinforced container that emitted low rumbling growls, actual growls, not the gentle purring Dr. Vexlar had become accustomed to. Thanks for seeing us on short notice, the new human said. I'm Dr. Kai Martinez, xenobotanist. This is Rex. He's been a bit reactive lately around other species. Dr. Vexlar approached the container curiously. Another feline. Dr. Martinez laughed. No, Rex is a dog, a Rottweiler, specifically. Bred as a guard dog. Guard. Dog. Dr. Vexlar's chromatophores shifted to an uncertain lavender. Yeah, his ancestors were protection animals. They guarded human territories and possessions. The container shook slightly, and a deep resonant bark echoed through the examination room. It was nothing like Captain Whiskers' delicate meows. Captain Whiskers, still in his carrier, hissed in response, fur standing on end. Dr. Vexlar felt his old anxiety returning, and this creature is also considered a harmless pet. Oh, Rex is a sweetheart once you get to know him, Dr. Martinez assured, unlatching the container. He just needs proper socialization. That's why I brought him to a space station, exposure therapy. The container door swung open, and out stepped a creature that made Dr. Vexlar's secondary heart skip several beats. It was significantly larger than Captain Whiskers, with powerful muscles visible beneath short black fur. Its head was massive, featuring a strong jaw that looked capable of crushing bones. When it yawned, it revealed teeth that would make a Rigelian shadow wolf envious. Is that? Dr. Vexlar's voice modulator squeaked. Is that its full adult size? Oh no, Dr. Martinez said cheerfully. Rex is just a puppy. He'll double in size over the next year. The puppy locked eyes with Dr. Vexlar, its gaze intense and evaluating. Then it opened its mouth again, tongue lolling out in what the humans might interpret as friendly, but what Dr. Vexlar could only see as a predator displaying its weapons. You know, Dr. Vexlar said faintly, backing toward his emergency call button, there's a fascinating difference between theoretical xenobiological knowledge and practical application. Morgan stifled a laugh, recognizing the return of Dr. Vexlar's anxiety. Don't worry, Doc, if you could handle Captain Whiskers, you can handle Rex. Perhaps, Dr. Vexlar replied, not entirely convinced, though I'm beginning to think I may need to revise my classification system again. Rex barked once more, tail wagging with what the humans insisted was friendliness, but what Dr. Vexlar's instinct screamed was predatory excitement. As Dr. Vexlar steeled himself for this new challenge, he couldn't help but reflect on how quickly his comfortable routine had been upended by Earth fauna. First a small orange predator had conquered his fear, and now this larger, more overtly powerful creature was testing his newfound courage. The universe, it seemed, had a peculiar sense of humor, and humans, with their baffling habit of adopting apex predators as companions, were perhaps the greatest cosmic joke of all. Well then, Dr. Vexlar said, summoning his professional demeanor as Rex bounded forward to investigate him. Let's begin the examination, shall we? Morgan and Dr. Martinez exchanged knowing smiles as Captain Whiskers watched imperiously from his carrier, seemingly amused by the veterinarian's predicament. Just another day at the intergalactic vet clinic, where the most dangerous species in the galaxy turned out to be the ones humans called pets.